the culture,
the fucking devils of our culture.
The culture of hating African aunties.
You know what's been utterly rude of me? Posting full-length videos without even saying hi. Skipping the foreplay without any form of acknowledgement to the presence that clicked on the video. No greeting, no introduction. I couldn't be shameless. I'm sorry. Hi there. Hello. You're here. Welcome to my little corner of the internet sprawling digital verse. I don't know how you found me, but I'm glad you did. Shout out to the algorithm, or should I say your algorithm and your attention span. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, 3 needs down, and hey, you clicked on me. Aspiring poet, by the way. Did you hear that? I'm Listened Odyssey, and I love exploring anything that catches my eye. I'm a curious cat who can't help scratching the itch to know things. I love turning simple thoughts into deep ones, and I spend way too much of my time in my head or buried in books. So, as you can see by the title of this video, women are still the center of discussion. I know that I've been a little bit biased with the nature of my content lately. More so because I am at a phase in my life where I am learning to understand womanhood, bringing into question all I have been taught to identify with, all because I have breasts and a vajayjay.
I just feel so heavy. I feel depressed, kind of. God forbid.
To be depressed is to be weak. You are embracing defeat by defying God, by displaying a lack of faith. Before we go full anti-wellness, let's get real for a second. That advice about depression, you're just lazy, you need more faith, stop thinking too much. For a wide range of us African kids, our depression was dismissed by our parents and the elders around us. Our mental well-being was never acknowledged or taken into consideration unless, and this is a heavy unless, your parents had that sweet Western money blessing, then maybe you got therapy or counseling. Otherwise, the prescribed treatment was to get on your knees and pray.
We're going to pray. Give me your hands. In Jesus' name.
Look, I have nothing against prayer. From a spiritual point of view, prayer is a way of living, an act done in every, and I mean every moment, a constant quiet conversation with the divine. But I do want us to talk about the toxicity of only offering that as guidance. It's not like our elders were being manipulative or cunning. The advice is highly centered in love and ignorance. For them, religion was a survival tool. They grew up in a world so harsh they clung to faith like it was oxygen. They needed to breathe, sweetheart. Africans, in a sense, tend to look at life from a holistic point of view, but that seems to have sort of been kind of neglected. This happened over the ages, and we all know why. So, the advice is good advice, but becomes bad advice when it is given as the only solution rather than as part of the broader approach. Faith can be part of healing alongside therapy, meditation, and communal support. Heavy on communal support. By rejecting all other forms of help, you lose the benefits of a holistic approach that blends spiritual comfort with practical tools. Prayer can give emotional strength, but therapy can teach coping strategies. Together, they are stronger. Depression can be linked to a number of things: unemployment, gender-based violence, and social inequality, all of which need systemic solutions alongside personal coping. One thing about us as Africans, we face a ton of systemic problems, and the majority of us do not look into the systems that significantly shape human behavior. Instead, there's this sort of blindfold, a narrow vision of what is, and we turn from questioning these systems to carrying the load all by ourselves. All the downfalls we experience from these existing social systems become personal objectives, and that's unfair. Take that load off.
Oh, hello, Auntie. Good to see you here in church. I believe you were not in attendance last Sunday. I had family business.
Auntie, please.
This service is about to start.
In media media, especially on social platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube skits, the African auntie trope is often portrayed as a formidable and uncompromising figure. By rigid, I mean she takes no nonsense and her confidence is unshakable. These are all sweet terms to describe mean. The girl is blatantly mean.
Hello, don't give me unnecessary headache. Unless I will get you inside my nose for 2 minutes. Believe what I say.
She embodies a particular brand of authority that is both admired and feared. If we go on the net and analyze the content centered around the African auntie, there begins to be a swift distinction between innocent jokes, harmless humor, and content that simply repackages harmful colonial stereotypes. The African auntie is often displayed as miserable and highly unhinged. We relate to the content because, in some twisted way, there is always an African aunt in the family who is a walking stereotype. But relying on this content as an accurate depiction of African womanhood is where the problem lies. I want to see more varieties in characters being added into skits. Honestly, when most of these content creators, especially men, crossplay as Black women, there's an uncomfortable familiarity to it. It connects directly to how Black women have long been portrayed in American media: exaggerated, loud, dramatic, and almost cartoonish. Think Eddie Murphy as Rasputia in Norbit or Tyler Perry as Medea. Both characters were funny back in the day, no doubt. Those movies had us crying with laughter, especially in an era where a man in a stiff wig and overdrawn red lipstick with a booming voice acted a fool. This was the pinnacle of comedy. But if we're being real, the humor hasn't aged well. There's a very thin, blurry line between laughter and disrespect, between satire and mockery. What starts as a joke then often ends up reinforcing the same stereotypes that have always been used to ridicule and control Black women. The angry Black woman, the loud auntie, the unruly matriarch, these aren't just punchlines, they're reflections of how society sees us. And more importantly, how it limits us. So, yes, it's entertainment, but at what cost? What exactly are we agreeing to when we laugh along? When the joke always comes at the expense of Black womanhood, maybe it's time to ask if it's really still that funny, or if we've just gotten used to seeing ourselves as the joke. So, even though the jokes feel homegrown, they echo global stereotypes that have historically devalued Black women. And let's be honest, the humor works because we recognize our own mothers, aunties, and grannies in the exaggeration. It's relatable, but relatability shouldn't excuse misrepresentation. At what point does laughing with turn into laughing at? And more importantly, at whom? But the African auntie is not only a figure within the household, she is a statement piece.
Body tea, body matcha. Body tea, body matcha.
Her mannerisms add to the archetype bearer of the sharp side eye, the pointy finger, and the knowing laugh that hints she's already 3 steps ahead in conversation. She is quick with a remark, often laced with both wisdom and a sting.
Hello, please, is this the bathroom? It's the kitchen. Kitchen. I wouldn't gas me. It's okay. You don't have to talk to me like that. You rude. Because right first, I said, is this a bathroom? Are you blind?
But I'm not gonna lie, in the face of patriarchy, she's the VVIP, a steward there to ensure that no rules are broken. But beneath the humor, this portrayal hints at something deeper. The African auntie is both a cultural anchor and a cultural enforcer. She represents a generation that holds tightly to certain norms, but she also serves as a mirror, reflecting how we view authority, womanhood, and aging in African communities. For the African auntie, every public appearance is an event. She will dress to impress. She loves stunting on niggas. Her outfits are bold and unapologetic, often traditional with rich fabric and elaborate patterns. If she's Nigerian, her gele isn't just wrapped, it's sculptured, framing her face like a crown. Back then, their makeup choices were highly due for questioning. However, I thank the Lord for the progress the eyebrow and the eyeshadow have made over the years. She's most likely bleached her skin, hands dark, but face giving orange is the new black. Not all of them bleach though. Some are dark in complexion. These ones, they are mostly revered because I don't know, but their aura is always firm. I think it's conditioning. I think we've just been conditioned to view dark-skinned women a certain way. And the ones that bleached shouldn't be mocked for bleaching because they were raised in an era where melanated skin was seen as a threat to society. And honestly, no one wants to feel undesirable. The Black community has used humor as means to cope with reality. It's often interesting how we all find similarities in those comment sections. Our experiences stretch beyond the diaspora, and relatability is often found in Indian cultures too. Due to this form of connection and relatability beyond the borders, you'd swear being Black is a universal experience, despite all of our various cultural backgrounds and distinct experiences. We already know just how much of a challenge it is being an African woman. It's no secret that on the global stage, we are ranked at the very bottom of the hierarchy. Hear me out. At the top sits white men, followed by white women, then Black men of the West, Western Black women, and somewhere far along the line, African folk. Within that, African women remain at the bottom of the bottom. And no, I'm not talking about African women who grew up or were born in the Western world. I'm talking about African women who are born and bred in Africa. President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso is a perfect example of this paradox. His rise to prominence on the global stage didn't come only from his radical politics or his courage to speak against colonial powers. It also came from the fact that he speaks French and English in a way that aligns with the expectations of the international audience.
I am 34 years old. Every day of my life, I grew up with your lies. As a child, I would watch Africa on television. Always the same images. Children with flies, dry lands, weapons, death. This is Africa, they told us. This is what Africa is. And we believed it. We were ashamed of ourselves. We were ashamed of our own lands, of our own people. But then I grew up. I read, I researched, I questioned, and I understood that the Africa you showed us wasn't real. The story you told us was a lie. The fate you imposed on us was a script you had written.
Imagine if he had stood at the United Nations and spoke only in his native language, or if his accent carried too much of the rural Burkina Faso inflection. Would the world have listened with the same intensity?
Probably not.
His credibility would have been dismissed, not because his ideals lacked substance, but because he did not sound like power. That's what assimilation looks like for us. Not just mastering the system, but bending ourselves, our voices, our bodies, our minds, so that the world can take us seriously. Look at all the viral politician memes circulating the net.
Yes. Hong, hong, hong. Honorable Matisa. Hong, hong. No business to be screaming. What's wrong with you?
And it does not make noise at all.
Member, take your seat. I'm addressing you appropriately. Otherwise, I could throw this glass at you.
That the leader of the EFF is nothing else than a Mickey Mouse commander-in-chief.
Honorable Malema, I've heard what you have said, but I fear Foko.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved. Yes. But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
Kenyans will be even in a deeper shit. Oh, no, that is not parliamentary.
In my clan, if we find you introducing a man to another man, Mama!
Mr. Should I call you Mr? Sure. Pepe Julian Onzima, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Do you think anyone is taking those politicians seriously? Hell no. Still on the subject matter of assimilation, I think about the countless African students who push themselves into English or French fluency, who spend years perfecting a language, an accent, memorizing Western frameworks, chasing a degree from top-tier universities abroad. For many of us, it's less about passion or knowledge and more about survival in a world that only respects you when you leave parts of yourself behind. Assimilation is sold to us as the only way to win, because when we embody our traditions, those are mocked and looked down as primitive, backward, and all that jazz. Now, layer womanhood onto that already heavy burden. As an African woman, you're not only pressured to assimilate to Western norms, you're also bound by traditional expectations at home. You can't just be brilliant, articulate, or ambitious. You have to do all that while still being obedient, respectful, and modest. If a man like Tayore bends himself to fit the Western world, although high-key defying it, he's celebrated as a strategic, a visionary, but when a woman does it, she's often still reduced to her gender, still told her highest achievement will be marriage, the ability to perform womanhood through servitude, and still remains policed for how feminine she is in the process. Assimilation then becomes double-edged, a key to global recognition, but also a reminder that your worth is conditional, never inherent. You are policed constantly by how you dress, by how you sit, even by the tone of your voice. From the earliest years, you are prepared not to fear freedom, but for marriage. Your formative years are not your own. They are rehearsed for a role others expect you to play. And it doesn't stop there. You're also harshly guided in the home, most often by your mother and other women around you. The irony is these women love you. They want to protect you, but the way protection is executed often feels like suffocation. For example, I'll never forget the time my older brother refused to let me attend a sleepover that was across the street from our flat. My friends had a slumber party. I was there for maybe 2 seconds and then I had to go home. The justification: protect the girl child, protect the woman. But protect her from what? And at what cost? That atmosphere, those unspoken rules, scream safety on the surface, but what they really communicate is control. They deprive you of making mistakes, of experiencing life fully, of growing through trial and error like your male counterparts are freely allowed to. And while of course no African girl's story is exactly the same, the pattern is undeniable for many of us. Womanhood has been less a celebration of becoming and more a cage disguised as care. By questioning what we accept as entertainment, we create room for retrospection, the kind that forces us to hold ourselves accountable for perpetuating harmful stereotypes. When a single trope is used in every context, rendered one-dimensional in character and behavior, it distorts real-life experiences of the very people it aims to represent. It flattens humanity into caricature. The African Aunty trope, as it's recycled and repackaged online, reflects not just a lack of creative innovation from its creators, but also a dangerous distortion of African womanhood. The true essence of our womanhood was stripped from us. It might sound tired to point at patriarchy again, but we often forget just how severe its implications are. African women have historically had to put themselves last, with many elders entering marriages at tender ages, becoming mothers before they were ready. So when I see the auntie trope used for cheap laughs or surface level relatability, I can't help but hate it, because beneath the humor is a distortion of pain. Beneath the stereotype is a story of sacrifice that deserves reverence, not ridicule. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video, especially if you made it all the way to this part of the video. I appreciate you. You know how it goes. I wish you a lovely human experience after you exit this video. May the work of your hands flow through you the rest of your day or night with ease. Hopefully you're feeling good, refreshed, and lovely today. Stay blessed, stay lovely, stay in good spirits. You are amazing. Don't forget you are loved. And that's it. I don't have an outro, so ciao! pardon my sound. Pardon my sound, really. My mic is literally, yeah, it's no longer working. So please, subscribe, please.